She was exhausted, pulling another double shift at the cozy little diner just to cover her brother's college tuition. He was jaded, having lost all trust in real love after being burned by fortune hunters when she knelt to tie his shoe without expecting a thing in return. Neither knew this simple act of pure kindness would unlock their hearts and change their lives forever. If you've ever thought true love shows up when you're not looking, smash that like button right now and hit subscribe. Today's story will restore your faith in destiny. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? I want to share about two souls who figured they had life all sorted, but boy, were they mistaken. The universe has a quirky way of matching perfect hearts at the perfect time. This tale reminds us to hold on to love, no matter how weary we feel. Let me start with Imani. She wiped the sweat from her brow with the back of her hand, the diner's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry bees. Imani Jackson, 28 and built like she could carry the world on her shoulders, because damn it, she pretty much did, balanced a tray loaded with greasy plates and half-empty coffee mugs. The lunch rush at Rosie's Corner Diner was in full swing, the kind where every booth was crammed with construction guys in dusty boots, office workers scrolling their phones, and old-timers nursing black coffee like it was their lifeline. The air smelled of sizzling bacon and burnt toast, a scent that clung to her uniform like a bad habit. "Order up, Imani. Table 6 wants their burgers yesterday," hollered Manny, a white man from the kitchen, his voice cutting through the clatter of silverware and chatter. She flashed him a quick thumbs up, even though her feet screamed in protest inside her worn-out sneakers. Double shift number 3 this week, and it wasn't even Wednesday. But bills didn't pay themselves, and Malik's tuition sure as hell wasn't going to drop from the sky. Imani weaved through the tables with the grace of someone who'd turned chaos into a dance. "Here you go, Mr. Harris. Double cheeseburger. No onions, extra pickles," she said, sliding the plate in front of the grizzled trucker who'd been coming here since she was a kid. He grunted a thanks, but she caught the way his eyes softened. Folks around here knew her story, or at least the headlines. Parents gone in a blink 3 years back. That rainy night when a semi-truck hydroplaned on the interstate. One call from the cops, and boom, her world flipped. No more family dinners, no more mom's laughter echoing in their cramped apartment. Just her, 25 at the time, stepping up as guardian to her little brother Malik, who was barely out of high school. She topped off coffees at table 4, where a group of nurses from the hospital down the block were venting about their shift. "Y'all look like you need this more than I do," Imani joked, her voice warm like honey even as exhaustion tugged at her edges. One of them laughed, slipping her a 5-spot tip. "You're a lifesaver, girl." Imani pocketed it with a nod, already mentally allocating it, half to the electric bill, half to Malik's textbook fund. Back behind the counter, she stole a moment to check her phone. A text from Malik lit up the screen. "Sis, aced that circuits exam. Thanks for the late-night pep talk. Love you." Her chest tightened, a mix of pride and that ever-present ache. Malik was 22 now, a junior at the state university, chasing an engineering degree with the fire of someone who knew what it meant to hustle. He'd always been the smart one, tinkering with gadgets in their old garage, dreaming of building bridges or whatever engineers did. But dreams cost money, and after the accident, their parents' life insurance barely covered the funeral. No savings, no safety net, just Imani's paycheck from this hole-in-the-wall diner. She fired off a quick reply. "Proud of you, kiddo. Keep grinding. Dinner's on me tonight. If I don't collapse first." A small lie. Dinner would be whatever leftovers Manny, a white man, let her snag. But Malik didn't need to know that. He was busting his ass in dorms 2 hours away, and the last thing he needed was her worries piling on his plate. The bell over the door jingled, pulling her back to the grind. More customers, more orders. Imani plastered on her signature smile, the one that could light up a room even when her own felt pitch black. It wasn't fake, it was survival. Grandma Ida had taught her that back when they baked together in that tiny kitchen, flour dusting every surface. "Food's love, baby girl," Ida would say, her hands kneading dough for sweet potato pie, the kind with that perfect flaky crust and cinnamon kick. And love doesn't quit when times get tough. God, she missed those days. Ida had passed a year before the accident, leaving behind a worn recipe book that Imani kept like a Bible in her nightstand drawer. Sweet potato pie, honey cornbread, peach cobbler that could make you weep. These weren't just treats. They were memories, hugs in edible form. Imani's dream? Open her own bakery, nothing fancy, just a spot where folks could walk in and feel that warmth. She'd call it Ida's Legacy, with display cases full of golden brown goodness, the air thick with sugar and spice. No more slinging hash browns for tips. She'd be her own boss, sharing that family love one slice at a time. But dreams were luxuries, and right now, reality bit hard. Rent was due, Malik's next tuition payment loomed, and her beat-up Honda needed new tires before winter hit. Imani glanced at the clock. 2 more hours till the end of this shift, then straight to the night one. Her back ached, her smile faltered for a split second, but she caught it, straightened up. "What can I get you?" she asked the new guy at the counter, voice steady as ever. As the afternoon dragged on, she handled a spill at table 9, ketchup everywhere like a crime scene, while chatting up Mrs. Lopez about her grandkids. "That boy's got your eyes," Imani said, mopping up the mess without missing a beat. Inside, though, her mind raced. How much longer could she keep this up? The diner was homey, sure, checkered tablecloths, vinyl booths that stuck to your thighs in summer. But it wasn't enough. She needed more. For Malik, for herself. Finally, a lull hit around 3. Imani leaned against the counter, sipping lukewarm coffee, letting her mind wander to that bakery fantasy. She'd sketch designs on napkins sometimes, imagining the layout, ovens in the back, a cozy seating area up front, maybe even sell coffee to go with the pies. It felt so close, yet miles away. A customer waved for the check, snapping her out of it. Back to work. By shift's end, her legs felt like lead, but she punched out with that same resilient grin. "See y'all tomorrow," she called to the crew, grabbing her coat. Outside, the city buzz hummed, horns blaring, folks rushing home. Imani walked the 3 blocks to her apartment, the chill nipping at her cheeks. Up the stairs, key in the lock, and there it was, her tiny sanctuary, posters of New Orleans jazz festivals on the walls, a nod to Ida's roots, Malik's old engineering book stacked in the corner. She kicked off her shoes, collapsed onto the couch, and pulled out Ida's recipe book. Flipping to the sweet potato pie page, she traced the faded handwriting. "One day," she whispered to the empty room. Her phone buzzed, another text from Malik, a photo of him in the lab. Thumbs up. It fueled her, that fire. No matter the storm, she'd keep smiling through it. For him, for them. But as she drifted off for a quick nap before the next shift, a quiet doubt crept in. Was this all there was? Hustle, heartbreak, repeat? Little did she know, the universe had other plans brewing, but for now it was just her against the world, one weary step at a time. Ethan Harper slammed the conference room door behind him, the echo bouncing off the glass walls of his downtown high-rise like a gunshot. At 32, he was the king of this empire, Harper Luxury Resorts, a chain of upscale hotels stretching from coast to coast, each one a gleaming testament to his grind. His custom-tailored suit hugged his frame, the kind that screamed old money even though he'd clawed his way up from nothing. The boardroom he'd just left was still buzzing with execs patting themselves on the back over the latest acquisition, a prime beachfront property that would rake in millions. But as he strode to the elevator, his jaw clenched tight, all he felt was the familiar hollow ache gnawing at his gut. "Mr. Harper, the car's waiting," his assistant Lisa chirped from her desk, tablet in hand like a shield. She was efficient, loyal, and paid well to be. "And your 3 o'clock with the investors is confirmed." Ethan nodded curtly, not breaking stride. "Push it to 4. I need air." She didn't argue. No one did. That's what billions bought you. Obedience wrapped in politeness. Down in the lobby, the marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers, doormen tipping their hats as he passed. Outside, the city pulsed with life. Taxis honking, pedestrians dodging each other on sidewalks cracked from years of wear. Ethan slipped into the back of his black SUV, the leather seats cool against his skin. Take the long way home, he told the driver, staring out at the skyline he'd helped build. Towers he'd developed, hotels where the elite sipped champagne while overlooking the masses. It should have felt like victory, but it tasted like ash. His phone buzzed. Another text from some socialite he'd met at a gala last week. Missed you last night. Let's grab drinks? He deleted it without a second thought. Women like that were a dime a dozen, all smiles and subtle hints about yachts and private jets. He'd learned the hard way. Flashback 6 months. Vanessa, his ex-fiancée, with her perfect blowout and designer dresses, she'd seemed real at first, whispering sweet nothings about building a life together, until he caught her snapping pics of his bank statements, Googling his net worth in the dead of night. It's just research, babe, she'd cooed when confronted, but her eyes gave it away. The greed, the calculation. She'd been plotting the prenup loopholes before the ring was even sized. Ethan rubbed his temples, the memory twisting like a knife. He'd ended it on the spot, lawyers swarming like vultures to protect his assets. But the damage stuck. Trust? That ship had sailed. Now, every glance from a stranger felt loaded, every conversation a potential scam. He scrolled through his contacts. Business partners, yes men, a few old college buddies he barely saw. No one who knew the real him, the kid from the wrong side of the tracks. Growing up in a rundown trailer park on the outskirts of town, Ethan had known hunger that went bone deep. Mom worked double shifts at a motel, scrubbing toilets while he did homework under flickering lights. One day, we'll have our own place, she'd say, her voice hoarse from exhaustion, splitting a can of soup for dinner. Dad? Long gone. A ghost story of broken promises. At 8, Ethan would tag along to her night job, sitting in empty lobbies, watching suited folks check in with their fancy luggage. He'd press his nose to the glass, wondering what it felt like to belong. Not just clean the place, but own it. That fire lit him up. He hustled through school on scholarships, flipped burgers after class, and saved every penny. College was a blur of all-nighters and side gigs, graduating top of his class in business. His first real estate flip at 22? A rundown apartment building he turned into condos, pocketing enough to buy the next. Snowball effect. Smart deals, ruthless negotiations, 18-hour days. By 28, he was a millionaire. By 30, a billionaire. Mom got the house she dreamed of, a cozy ranch with a garden, before cancer took her too soon. He'd held her hand at the end, promising he'd make her proud. But success, it came with shadows. Back in his penthouse now, the elevator doors whooshed open to floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering city. The place was a showroom, minimalist furniture, abstract art worth fortunes, a garage downstairs packed with sports cars he rarely drove. Ethan kicked off his loafers, Italian leather because why not, and poured a scotch, neat. The burn down his throat matched the one in his chest. He sank into the sectional, flipping on the TV for noise. But his mind wandered to those early days, remembering Mom bringing him to a greasy spoon diner after her shift, sharing fries because it was all they could swing. It's the little things, kiddo, she'd say, ruffling his hair. Now he could buy the whole chain, but who would he share it with? His phone lit up again. Bradley, his investment partner. Deal's golden, man. Drinks to celebrate? Bradley was sharp, ambitious, and always pushing for bigger risks. Last month, he'd tried talking Ethan into offloading a portfolio cheap for quick cash, eyes gleaming with that shark vibe. Ethan trusted him for business, but friends? Nah. Rain check, he texted back. Alone again, he paced to the window, city lights mocking him. All this wealth, and what did it get him? A fortress of solitude, walls built from suspicion. He thought about the women before Vanessa. Sarah, who accidentally maxed his card on a shopping spree. Lisa, no, different Lisa, who ghosted after he wouldn't fund her startup. Each one chipped away at his faith until nothing was left but cynicism. Everyone's got an angle, he muttered to the empty room, swirling his glass. Deep down, that scared kid still whispered, "What if someone saw you, not the bank account?" But hope like that was dangerous. It had burned him before. Ethan set the glass down hard, the clink echoing. He headed to his home office, firing up the laptop to review tomorrow's pitches. Work never betrayed him. It was reliable, cold, but honest. As numbers blurred on the screen, he leaned back, exhaling slowly. Success had given him everything except what mattered. And in the quiet, that truth hit like a freight train. He was richer than kings, but lonelier than hell. Ethan loosened his tie as he pushed open the door to Rosie's Corner Diner, the bell jingling like an old friend welcoming him back. The place hit him like a time warp. Checkered floors scuffed from years of foot traffic, booths with cracked vinyl, and that unmistakable aroma of fresh coffee mingling with frying onions. He just wrapped a brutal meeting downtown, haggling over a historic building ripe for redevelopment into another luxury spot. The numbers crunched perfectly, but something nagged at him, a whisper from his past pulling him off the beaten path. Why not grab a quick bite here instead of the usual upscale joint? Hell, it reminded him of those rare treats with Mom, splitting a sandwich after her shift. He slid into a corner booth, the same kind where he'd huddled as a kid, watching the world go by. The lunch crowd was thinning out, but the energy hummed. A couple of blue-collar guys arguing sports at the counter, an elderly woman sipping tea while flipping through a newspaper. Ethan scanned the menu. Nothing fancy, just honest grub like meatloaf specials and pie by the slice. What'll it be? A voice cut through his thoughts. He looked up to see her, Imani, though he didn't know her name yet, balancing a notepad and a pot of coffee, her smile cutting through the afternoon haze like sunlight. Just coffee black and the daily special, he muttered, keeping it low-key. She nodded, pouring with a steady hand. Coming right up. You look like you could use a refill on that energy, too. Her tone was light, teasing without prying, and damn if it didn't ease the knot in his shoulders. As she hustled off, he watched her work the room, refilling mugs for the regulars, slipping an extra napkin to a kid with sticky fingers, asking about someone's sick dog like she genuinely cared. It was effortless, that warmth, in a world where everyone seemed out for themselves. His food arrived hot and hearty, a turkey club with fries piled high. Ethan dug in, the simple flavors grounding him amid the chaos of his day. Emails pinged on his phone, Bradley pushing for that quick flip on the property. But he ignored them, letting the diner's rhythm wash over him. Laughter from the kitchen, the sizzle of the grill, clinking plates. For the first time in hours, his mind quieted. He thought of Mom again, how she'd bring him to spots like this on payday, her face lighting up over a shared slice of apple pie. See, Ethan? Good things don't need to cost a fortune. Her words echoed now, mocking his penthouse solitude. Finished, he stood to leave, fishing for his wallet. But as he took a step, his foot caught, shoelace undone on his pricey Oxfords, the kind polished to a mirror shine. He bent to fix it, but before he could, a gentle voice stopped him. Whoa there, let me get that for you. Imani was already kneeling, her apron brushing the floor as she looped the laces with quick, sure fingers. No fuss, no hesitation, just tying them snug, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Ethan froze, a jolt running through him. When was the last time someone did something this small, this unasked for? No strings, no angle. Thanks, he managed, his voice rougher than intended. She stood, dusting her hands with that radiant smile. No biggie. Everybody deserves a little looking after now and then. Her eyes met his, warm and steady, no hint of expectation. It hit him square in the chest, cracking the armor he'd built so carefully. He pulled out a crisp 100 from his wallet, way more than the bill, and slid it across. Here for the trouble. But Imani shook her head, pushing it back gently, firmly. Nah, keep it. That was just a shoelace, not a favor for sale. Kindness ain't something you buy, it's what you pass around. Her words hung there, simple and true, slicing through his cynicism like a hot knife through butter. Ethan stared, words failing him. In a life full of transactions, this was pure, no quid pro quo. He paid the tab with exact change, mumbling another thanks, and stepped out into the crisp air. But as he climbed into his SUV, her face lingered. That smile, those words. Everybody deserves It echoed, stirring something dormant, a flicker of hope he'd long buried under layers of distrust. Vanessa's betrayal flashed in his mind, the way she'd tallied his worth like a ledger. But this was different, real. By evening, back in his penthouse, Ethan couldn't shake it. He ditched the suit for jeans and a plain tee, staring at his reflection. What if he went back, just as a regular guy? No flash, no reveals. Test the waters, see if that kindness was a fluke or the real deal. His heart raced at the thought. Risky, yeah, but exhilarating. For once, maybe he could be seen for who he was, not what he had. The next day, he timed it for the post-lunch lull, slipping into the diner like any other Joe. Imani spotted him, waving from behind the counter. Back so soon? Coffee again? He nodded, sliding onto a stool. Yeah, and maybe some pie if you've got it. She served it up, sweet potato, flaky and warm, and lingered a beat. You from around here? Small talk, easy. Sort of. Work keeps me moving. She chuckled. Tell me about it. What's your gig? He kept it vague. Real estate stuff, and turned it back to her. How about you? Been here long? Her eyes lit up as she wiped the counter. A couple of years, pays the bills, you know. But it's the people that make it. They chatted about nothing and everything. Traffic woes, the best local spots for a quick escape. Short at first, but each exchange peeled back a layer, her laugh pulling him in deeper. Day 3, he showed up again. Casual clothes, blending him in. Becoming a regular, huh? Imani teased, refilling his mug without asking. Name's Imani, by the way. Ethan, he replied, a genuine grin cracking his face. They talked longer this time, about her brother's college grind, how she juggled shifts like a pro. He shared a tidbit about his mom's old recipes, keeping the billionaire part locked away. It felt good, this normalcy, like breathing fresh air after being underwater. By week's end, those quick chats stretched into real conversations, the diner emptying around them. Ethan's walls crumbled a bit more each time, her pure vibe reigniting a spark he'd forgotten. He decided then he'd keep coming back, guard up on his secrets, but open to whatever this was. Ethan pushed through the diner's door just as the afternoon slump hit, the bell's chime blending into the soft hum of the jukebox playing some old Motown track. He'd timed it perfectly, post-lunch, pre-dinner, when the place emptied like a ghost town. Jeans and a faded hoodie today, nothing flashy to tip off his real life. He spotted Imani wiping down the counter, her back to him, humming along to the tune. Hey, regular, she called over her shoulder without looking up. Coffee's fresh. Grab your spot. He slid onto his usual stool, the one with the best view of the kitchen pass-through. You read minds now? He shot back, a smirk tugging at his lips. She turned, pouring his mug with that effortless pour, steam curling up like a promise. Nah, just good at spotting patterns. You're like clockwork these days. Her eyes sparkled with that easy tease, and damn if it didn't loosen the tension he'd carried from the morning's boardroom battle. Bradley had been riding him hard about that property deal, pushing for a fast close to line his own pockets. But here, no agendas, just black coffee and real talk. They started light, like always. Rough day? She asked, leaning on the counter as she polished a fork. Ethan sipped, letting the bitterness ground him. Same old grind, meetings that drag on forever, people talking in circles. He kept it vague. No mentions of multi-million-dollar stakes or cutthroat negotiations. She nodded, her braids swaying. I feel that. Had a table earlier complain their eggs were too runny, like, dude, it's breakfast, not rocket science. They chuckled, the sound syncing up in that effortless way. But as the minutes ticked, the chat dug deeper. Ethan found himself opening up about his childhood, bits and pieces he'd locked away for years. Grew up rough, you know? Mom busting her ass cleaning motels, me tagging along like a shadow. We'd hit diners like this after her shift. Split a burger if we were lucky. His voice dropped, fingers tracing the mug's rim. Imani paused her wiping, her expression softening. Sounds familiar. My grandma and I were the queens of making do. She'd whip up honey cornbread from scraps, turn nothing into something magical. She leaned in closer, her warmth pulling him like gravity. He pressed on, testing the waters. Lost her a while back, huh? Imani nodded, her smile fading just a touch, eyes distant. Yeah, then my folks 3 years ago. Car wreck, bam, gone. Left me with Malik, my little bro. He's killing it in engineering school, but man, the bills stack up. She swallowed hard but didn't break eye contact, that resilience shining through. Ethan felt a pang, mirroring his own losses. That's heavy. My mom, cancer got her after I started making it. Built everything thinking it'd make her proud, but she never saw the finish line. The words tumbled out raw, no polish, and for once it didn't scare him. Imani's hand rested on the counter near his, not touching, but close enough to feel the spark. Bet she sees it now wherever she is, and hey, you're here, still grinding. That's something. Her voice wrapped around him like a blanket. No pity, just straight-up empathy. Ethan met her gaze, his chest tightening in a good way. No one talked to him like this. Not Lisa with her clipped efficiency, not Bradley with his scheming grins. Here, he was just Ethan, not the billionaire shield. The conversation flowed like they'd known each other forever. She shared more about her bakery dream, eyes lighting up as she described it. Nothing huge, just a spot with fresh sweet potato pie, the kind Ida passed down. Flaky crust that cinnamon hit. Folks walk in stressed, leave with a slice of home. She mimed rolling dough, her hands graceful despite the calluses. Ethan leaned forward, hooked. Sounds killer. You'd crush it. What's stopping you? Imani shrugged, a wry grin. Life, man. Shifts here eat my time, and saving up, it's like filling a bucket with a teaspoon. But there was fire in her tone, not defeat. He shared a story from his early hustles, flipping his first property, the adrenaline of closing that deal. Felt like winning the lottery, but scarier. One wrong move, and poof. He omitted the zeros, keeping it relatable. Imani laughed, head thrown back. I get it. Last week I nailed a triple order without dropping a plate. High-fived Manny, a white man, like we'd won the Super Bowl. Their laughs mingled, the diner feeling smaller, cozier. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden rays through the windows, Ethan noticed how she opened up. Talking about Malik's latest exam win, how she'd stay up late quizzing him over video calls. He's my why, you know? Keeps me pushing. Ethan nodded, his own motivations bubbling up. I get that. Built my thing thinking it'd fill the voids, but sometimes it just echoes louder. Vulnerability slipped in, unbidden, but with her it felt safe. She slid him a slice of pie on the house. Test run for my future spot, and watched him take a bite. Verdict? He groaned in approval. Heaven, Ida was a genius. Imani's cheeks flushed, a real glow. Thanks, means a lot. In that moment, Ethan felt seen, not for his empire, but for the guy savoring a simple treat. No calculations, no ulterior motives. Joie Saint connection? They talked until her break ended, the diner picking up again with early dinner folks. Ethan paid up, leaving a modest tip, no hundreds this time. Blending in. See you tomorrow? She asked, a hopeful lilt. Wouldn't miss it, he replied, heart pounding as he stepped out. Walking to his car, parked a block away to keep the facade, he replayed her words, her laugh. For the first time in forever, the shadows felt lighter, souls linking in ways he hadn't dared hope. Ethan glanced at his watch. 3:45 p.m. As he ducked into the diner, the bell's familiar ding cutting through the quiet lull. Boardroom battles still echoed in his head. Bradley droning on about profit margins, execs nodding like bobbleheads while he sealed another multi-million-dollar deal. But here, in jeans and a plain button-up, he shed that skin like a snake. Imani was at the counter stacking clean mugs, her face lighting up when she saw him. Right on time, Ethan. Coffee's brewing. Extra strong. Just how you like it. He settled on his stool, the worn vinyl creaking under him. You're a mind reader, she poured, sliding it over with a wink. Nah, just observant. You look wiped. Big day. Ethan exhaled, wrapping his hands around the mug's warmth. Yeah, the kind where everyone's chasing the next big score. But it leaves you hollow. He paused, testing the depth. Success sounds great on paper, but it's lonely as hell at the top. No one sees you. just the wins. Imani's eyes softened, her polishing rag forgotten. She leaned in, voice low. I get that. Feels like you're carrying the world solo. She bit her lip, then dove in. Like me with Malik. Kid's acing his classes, but every tuition bill hits like a gut punch. After mom and dad, it's all on me. No backups, just hustle. Her fingers twisted a napkin, shredding it unconsciously, but her gaze held steady, raw honesty pulling him closer. Ethan nodded, his chest loosening. That's real strength. Most folks would have folded. Me? I built my thing to prove I belonged, but now it's like, what's the point without someone to share the ride? The words spilled out, unfiltered. No billionaire gloss, just the ache he'd buried under deals and defenses. Imani reached across, her hand brushing his knuckles lightly. Hey, you're sharing now, and it's kinda nice. A spark jumped between them, electric and undeniable. That afternoon stretched into something deeper. With the diner empty, they talked nonstop. Ethan opening up about the isolation of his real estate gigs, how boardrooms felt like shark tanks. Everyone's got an angle, you know? Sucks the soul right out. Imani shared her bakery vision in vivid detail. Ida's recipes aren't just food. They're hugs on a plate, sweet potato pie that melts in your mouth, honey cornbread with that golden crunch. I'd make it a spot where folks feel seen, not just served. Her passion lit her up, hands gesturing like she was already kneading dough. Ethan hung on every word, his usual cynicism melting. You'd kill it. Seriously, Imani, your heart's in it. That's what wins. He meant it, no fluff. For the first time, he felt the pull to help, but kept it subtle. No cash drops, just encouragement. Draw up a quick sketch sometime. I'd love to see your layout ideas. Days blurred into this rhythm. Mornings, Ethan commanded his empire. Sharp suits, barking orders in glass towers, closing on that downtown property with ruthless precision. Bradley clapped him on the back. You're a machine, man. But it rang empty. Afternoons, he swapped to casual threads, hitting the diner like a lifeline. One evening after her shift, they lingered outside, the neon sign buzzing overhead. Walk you home, he offered, heart thumping. Imani grinned. Sure, why not? Beats the solo trek. They strolled the blocks, streetlights flickering on as dusk fell. Talk turned personal, Ethan confessing his mom's last words. Build something real, kid. Imani opened up about nights crying over bills, but pushing through for Malik. He's texting me memes now, keeping it light. But I worry. Am I enough? Ethan stopped under a lamppost facing her. You're more than enough. Hell, you're inspiring. Their eyes locked, the air thick with unspoken vibes. He wanted to pull her close but held back, savoring the build. Another day he showed up with her favorite tea, peppermint, no sugar, after she'd mentioned a headache last time. Figured you could use a pick-me-up. Imani's face broke into that megawatt smile. You remembered? That's sweet. They sat in a booth, her off the clock for once, sharing stories like old friends. Ethan talked about the void success left. Fancy cars, big views, but alone. It's crap. Imani nodded, her hand finding his across the table. You've got me now, and honestly, you make the grind bearable. The connection hit its peak one rainy afternoon. Diner closed early for a leak fix, so they hunkered in a nearby park under an awning, rain pattering like applause. Ethan shared a vulnerable truth. Haven't felt this scene since ever. You're real, Imani, no games. She squeezed his hand, eyes shining. Same here. You listen, you get it. Makes me believe in good stuff again. Laughter bubbled up, then quieted into a charged silence. He leaned in, their foreheads touching, breaths sinking. Joy surged through him, pure, unfiltered, like finding home after years adrift. In his double life, Ethan thrived on the contrast, days dominating deals, nights finding peace in her orbit. Imani felt it too, his words lifting her, making dreams feel tangible. You're my boost, she whispered once, as they parted ways. For both, love was blooming, roots digging deep amid the everyday chaos. Imani hummed under her breath as she refilled salt shakers behind the counter. The diner's afternoon hush wrapping around her like a cozy blanket. The lunch rush had died down, leaving just a few stragglers nursing coffees. Ethan would show any minute. Her pulse quickened at the thought, that now familiar flutter. 3 weeks of this routine, and it felt like magic. His easy grin, those deep talks that peeled back layers. No pressure, just real. She glanced at the clock. 3:50. Right on cue, the bell jingled. But it wasn't Ethan. A sharp-dressed guy in a slick suit strode in, scanning the place like he owned it. Tall, with a cocky smirk and gelled hair that screamed boardroom. "Hey, have you seen Ethan Harper around? Said he'd be here." Imani's brow furrowed as she wiped her hands on her apron. "Ethan? Yeah, he's a regular. Should be in soon. Can I get you something while you wait?" The guy, Bradley, though she didn't know it yet, slid into Ethan's usual booth, pulling out his phone. "Coffee black, and make it quick." His tone grated, all entitlement, but she poured anyway, sliding it over. As she turned back to her task, Bradley's voice boomed into his call. "Yeah, Ethan, contracts are prime for the Harper Resorts expansion. Investors are drooling over that downtown flip. Gonna turn this dump into prime real estate." He laughed, loud and abrasive. "Your call, boss. But with your billions, why drag feet?" Imani's hand froze mid-shake, salt spilling across the counter like tiny avalanches. "Harper Resorts? Billions?" She whipped around, heart slamming. "Wait, what did you just say?" Bradley looked up, annoyed. "Talking business. You know Ethan Harper? The real estate mogul? Owns half the skyline." He waved dismissively. "Tell him Bradley stopped by when he shows." The words hit like a sucker punch. Ethan, her Ethan, was Ethan Harper? The guy splashed across business mags, the billionaire bachelor. Pieces clicked, his vague real estate stuff, the casual clothes that never quite hit his polish, the way he dodged details about his life. She'd poured her soul out, Malik's tuition struggles, her bakery dreams, the raw grief over her folks, while he hid this. Heat flushed her cheeks, betrayal twisting her gut like a vice. The bell jingled again. Ethan walked in, spotting her with that warm smile, but it died fast when he saw Bradley. "What the hell are you doing here?" Ethan's voice was low, edged with panic. Bradley stood, clapping him on the shoulder. "Just checking in on the deal, partner. Is this your new hangout?" "Quaint," he smirked, grabbing his coat. "Call me later. We'll seal that property by." With a nod to Imani, he bounced, leaving chaos in his wake. Imani stood rigid, hands trembling as she gripped the counter. Ethan approached, face paling. "Imani, listen!" But she cut him off, voice cracking like thunder. "Ethan Harper? As in, the billionaire? You've been slumming it here, letting me babble about scraping by while you could buy this whole block without blinking?" Tears pricked her eyes, hot and furious. "You think I'm after your cash? Is that it? Why else hide who you are?" Ethan's shoulders slumped, desperation etching his features. "It wasn't like that. I wanted you to see me, not the money. After Vanessa, my ex, she was all about the fortune. Snapped pics of my cards, plotted the split before the wedding. I got burned badly. With you, it was real. No games." He reached for her hand, but she yanked back, the sting of his words fueling her fire. "Real? You lied for weeks." Her voice rose, drawing stares from the remaining customers. "I told you everything. My parents' crash, Malik's dreams, my stupid bakery sketches on napkins. And you sat there knowing you could snap your fingers and fix it all? But no, you tested me like some lab rat." She swallowed the lump in her throat, chest heaving. "You didn't trust me, thought I'd turn gold digger the second I knew. Well, screw that. We're done." Ethan's eyes widened, pain flashing raw. "Please, Imani, I fell for you. The real you. Your strength, your kindness. The money's just baggage." But she shook her head, turning away to hide the tears streaming down. "Baggage you hid. That makes it a lie. Get out." Her words sliced, final. Ethan stood frozen, then nodded, defeated. He left without another word, the bell's chime mocking the silence. Imani ducked into the kitchen, leaning against the wall as sobs racked her. Manny, a white man, poked his head in. You okay, kid? She wiped her face, forcing a nod. Just guy trouble. But inside it burned, self-doubt crashing in waves. Was she naive? The class gap yawned wide, her scraping tips, his jet setting. No wonder he hid. She wasn't in his league. Hours blurred, her shifts mechanical, mind replaying every laugh, every touch. All tainted now. Ethan, back in his SUV, punched the steering wheel, knuckles splitting. Idiot, he growled to the empty cab. His fear had nuked the best thing he'd found. Imani's face haunted him, hurt, betrayed. He'd created the monster he dreaded, making her feel small. In his penthouse later, staring at city lights that once symbolized triumph, regret choked him. All the wealth in the world couldn't fix this screw-up. Ethan stared out his penthouse window, the city sprawl mocking him with its indifferent glow. 2 weeks since the blow-up, 2 weeks of radio silence from Imani, her words echoing like a bad hangover. You didn't trust me. He'd replayed it nonstop, pacing his empty empire, realizing his fear had torpedoed the one real thing he'd grabbed onto. Vanessa's ghost had poisoned him, turning caution into deceit. But damn it, Imani deserved better. He wasn't losing her without a fight, not a boardroom brawl, but a heart-on-sleeve gamble. The downtown property deal had closed days after the fallout, the one including Rosie's Diner. Bradley had pushed hard. Tear it down, build luxury condos, cha-ching. But Ethan pivoted hard. He called in architects, contractors, and the workers. Keep the diner intact, he barked into the phone. Next door? Turn it into a bakery. Pro ovens, vintage cases, warm lighting, like a hug-and brick form. They hustled round the clock, no expense spared. Gleaming counters for sweet potato pies, shelves for honey cornbread, even a cozy nook with tables that screamed home. A plaque by the door. Dreams aren't for sale, they're for believing in. Now, on a crisp December morning, Ethan stood outside the diner in jeans and a sweater, heart jackhammering like he was closing his first deal. No suit armor today, just him, vulnerable as hell. In his pocket, a single key and a letter he'd rewritten a dozen times, words pouring out regret and love. Through the window, he spotted Imani bustling inside, her movements sharp, guarded. She saw him, froze, then headed for the door, arms crossed like a shield. I know you don't want to see me, he started, breath fogging the air, and I got no right to beg, but hear me out. He dropped to one knee on the cold sidewalk, ignoring the bite through his jeans, and deliberately tugged his shoelace loose. Looking up, eyes locked on hers, voice cracking. That first day you tied my shoe. No reason, no gain. Just because you're you, full of that pure kindness. I fell hard for your fire, your dreams, that heart that lights up everything. He swallowed thick, regret burning. I screwed up hiding the truth, scared the money would wreck it, like it wrecked everything else. But I wrecked it with my fear instead. Imani's face twisted, hurt flashing, then softening just a crack. Tears welled as she stepped closer, wind whipping her apron. You think a grand gesture fixes lies? I felt like a fool, Ethan. Like you saw me as some charity case. He shook his head fiercely. Never. I love you for you. The woman who hustles for her brother, bakes love into pies, sees people, not price tags. He pulled the key, holding it up like an offering. I bought the building, not to flip it, but to build this. Your bakery, ready to go. Pro kitchen, displays, the works. Take it, no strings. Whether you forgive me or not, you deserve your shot. She stared at the key in her palm, trembling, then at him kneeling there, exposed. Memories flooded. His laughs, the tea he'd brought, how he'd listened without fixing. The class chasm loomed, but his eyes screamed sincerity. No games, just raw hope. Her chest ached, walls crumbling. Get up, Ethan, she whispered, voice thick. He stood, hope warring with fear in his gaze. Imani knelt then, fingers looping his lace tight, mirroring that first moment. Let me tie your shoe, she said softly, standing to meet his eyes. And yeah, let's check out this baker you built for a girl dumb enough to love a billionaire who finally manned up. Relief crashed over him like a wave. He pulled her close, their hug fierce, tears mixing. Inside the new space next door, she gasped. Sunlight streaming through big windows, ovens humming, air already sweet with possibility. It's perfect, she breathed, tracing the plaque. They talked hours, him apologizing raw, her admitting the hurt but seeing his fear's roots. Forgiveness bloomed, tentative but real, sealed with a kiss that tasted like second chances. 6 months have flown by. Imani's spot, Ida's legacy, open to fanfare. Lines snaking the block for her grandma's pies and cornbread. Scents drawing crowds like magnets. Ethan pitched in, sleeves rolled, flour dusting his fancy shoes. No hiding now. "Order up!" he'd yell, grinning as he boxed treats, regulars clapping him on the back like one of their own. Imani watched him, heart full. His empire hummed on. But here, he was just hers, proving love bridged any gap. A year later, they tied the knot right in the diner, booths packed with friends, Malik beaming as best man. Vows exchanged over pie slices, rings slipping on amid cheers. To kindness and trust, Ethan toasted, pulling her close. The stuff that beats any barrier. As they danced under string lights, happiness settled deep, pure, hard-won, forever. If this story of Imani and Ethan has warmed your heart and shown you that true love springs from pure kindness and mutual care, unshaken by money or status, then hold on to that lesson tight. It's a reminder that the simplest acts can bridge the widest gaps and heal the deepest wounds. What small gesture of kindness has completely turned your life around or sparked a connection you never expected? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to read your stories and feel that inspiration flow. Stick around for our next video, where we'll dive into another uplifting tale of unexpected romance that defies the odds and restores your faith in destiny. Thanks from the bottom of my heart for watching and being part of this journey. See you soon. Take care out there.